Patriots fans, what a stretch of weeks this team has put together, and what a whirlwind of storylines we're heading into as the next matchup approaches. The conversation around New England has shifted dramatically, not just because of the wins stacking up, but because of how the team has handled adversity, injuries, and pressure without losing identity. And now, as we look toward the next test, the biggest question floating around the fan base is whether two important offensive pieces might finally return to action. There's been so much talk about what their presence could mean, but the truth is that even without them, the group has found ways to adapt, improvise, and push through situations that earlier in the year might have derailed everything. When you review the last handful of games, it becomes clear that the offense has been operating with a patchwork approach that somehow keeps working. The running game, for example, was supposed to revolve around a 1-2 punch that hasn't been available. Yet despite missing the complement that makes the ground attack truly dangerous, Trayvon Henderson has stepped forward and taken command of the backfield in a way few expected this late in the season. Every matchup has shown a similar pattern. He becomes the steady foundation of the offense, even without a rotation partner to take pressure off him. You can feel that the staff would love to have that explosive duo back together, but you also see how comfortable they've become leaning on Henderson while the others recover. And then there's the quarterback situation. Drake may has flashed mobility at moments, but these recent games haven't showcased the kind of scrambling, play-extending runs people expected when he first arrived. It feels less like a limitation and more like a conscious choice to keep things controlled. You sense that he's keeping certain tools tucked away until the games matter even more, because once the postseason arrives, there's no doubt defenses will be reminded very quickly that he can turn a tight pocket into a 20-yard gain before anyone realizes what happened. For now, though, it's been more about staying clean, staying safe, and letting the rest of the offense do the heavy lifting. Wide receivers have taken that responsibility and run with it. Throughout this stretch, Pop Douglas has turned tough situations into momentum-shifting moments, giving the offense spark after spark. Mac Hollins has surprised nearly everyone by stepping into a larger role, becoming a reliable option in games where the passing attack felt thin. And of course, Stefon Diggs continues to do what he does best. But what stands out the most is how the group collectively covers for missing teammates instead of waiting for someone else to take charge. In the absence of a key receiver, it has been Hollins taking huge steps the past two games, landing near the top of the team's receiving totals and keeping drives alive when they desperately needed someone to rise to the occasion. That's why the conversation around returning players is interesting. Sure, bringing them back adds firepower. Sure, it gives the playbook more flexibility. But nothing about this offense suggests it will crumble if they need another week. The team heading to Cincinnati has proven it can operate at a high level with the pieces currently available, and that becomes even more meaningful when you look at the defense they're about to face. Cincinnati has been struggling badly, not just in a general sense, but statistically across the board. Against the run, they've sat at the very bottom of the league, allowing huge gains on routine plays. Against the pass, they've been nearly as vulnerable, giving up chunk yardage drives far too easily. For an offense discovering rhythm and confidence, this matchup could not be arriving at a better moment. New England does not need to force anyone back prematurely for a game like this. The Bengals are limping into this matchup both physically and mentally, and the issues on their defense are not minor cracks. They're glaring weaknesses. Even without additions to the lineup, the Patriots should be able to attack the middle, stretch the outside, and control the pace of the game from start to finish. That's not arrogance. It's simply acknowledging where each team stands right now. The Bengals have talent, but the structure of their defense has been a problem all year, and nothing in recent weeks suggests that suddenly changes. Still, the potential return of those offensive weapons add a layer of excitement, because pairing them with Henderson would restore the dynamic duo many fans expected from the start. Henderson has shown he can be the lead back, but adding a second bruiser who brings a different kind of burst makes defenses think twice before committing fully to stopping one or the other. Earlier in the season, some people doubted the potential of that combination, even laughed at the thought they could become one of the best backfield tandems in the league. But anyone who truly watched their styles understood the upside. One brings patience and vision. The other brings power and acceleration. and together they force defenses to play honest football. That's why the conversation keeps circling back to them. When at full strength, the Patriots' backfield offers matchup problems for almost any opponent. Even with setbacks, even with the occasional fumble or missed opportunity, both backs have delivered monster performances at various points in their careers. Merging their skill sets again could give this offense a level of unpredictability that becomes essential once games tighten late in the season. And yes, depth has been a challenge. Some of the other running backs who were expected to compete for snaps haven't quite found their footing, whether due to injuries or inconsistency. A few had games where they flashed potential, but none have cemented themselves as regular contributors. That's why Henderson's emergence matters so much. Without him stepping in and elevating his game, these past few weeks could have unraveled quickly. The same story applies to the receivers. Last season, people criticized the entire group, claiming it wasn't explosive enough, not reliable enough, simply not good enough to compete. But look at the turnaround now. With stronger quarterback play, improved scheme adjustments, and players stepping confidently into bigger roles, that wideout group has transformed into something far more balanced and dangerous. Even missing an important piece the past few games, they keep producing, keep fighting through coverage, keep proving they can move the chains with or without everyone healthy. And as the team prepares to face one of the weakest defenses in the league, the confidence inside the locker room feels justified. They're 9 wins into the season already, navigating obstacles that would have sunk earlier versions of this roster. Even when something looked messy or uncertain, they steadied the ship. Even when people doubted the quarterback or the offensive identity, they kept pushing. The results speak for themselves, and now the next test comes against a defense struggling to contain basically anything thrown at it. As the focus shifts from injuries and returning players to the wider landscape of the league, one thing has become unmistakably clear. The Patriots are forcing people to rethink everything they believed about this team at the start of the season. Week by week, the national conversation has slowly changed tone, moving from skepticism to curiosity and now to a level of respect that had been missing for quite a while. And nowhere is that shift more visible than in the recent power rankings circulating across the football world. Every list tells a slightly different story, but most of them point to the same conclusion. New England is rising, whether some people like it or not. For a team that many expected to hover around the middle of the pack, climbing into the upper tier of the league has turned into something that analysts can no longer ignore. Some rankings place them near the very top, arguing that their record speaks for itself, while others remain hesitant, pointing to the strength of schedule as a reason to hold back praise. But even that argument feels hollow the more you examine it. Football is football, and no team makes it to 9 victories by accident this deep into the season. It takes execution, discipline, and a level of consistency that only a few organizations can sustain when the pressure tightens week after week. The comment that sparked the most discussion recently came from analysts who ranked the Patriots as one of the top 2 teams in the league. They argued that even if the schedule hasn't been filled entirely with powerhouses, the way New England has handled each opponent tells a story of a team prepared for the postseason. Anyone who has followed this group closely knows that there's a big difference between simply beating a team and controlling the momentum of the game from the opening snap. The Patriots have done that repeatedly, even in matchups where people expected chaos, mistakes, or aggression. Instead, they have shown a level of calm that usually belongs to veteran squads with years of chemistry. Still, not everyone has been convinced. Some rankings place them in the lower half of the top 10, basically saying, yes, they're good, but not that good yet. That kind of skepticism isn't surprising. Every season has a team that climbs the standings quickly and becomes the target of doubt, especially if the narrative surrounding the organization had been negative the previous year. People remember struggles far longer than they remember growth. They cling to the storyline that feels safe, and in this case, the storyline has been that the Patriots cannot possibly be this competitive so soon with so many new pieces. But here's the twist. Skepticism might actually be helping this team. Certain players thrive when the outside world doubts them. That underdog energy turns into something powerful in a locker room. It becomes a rallying point, a way to bond, a way to keep everyone sharp. Instead of being weighed down by external pressure, the Patriots seem to be fueling themselves with the criticism. They hear the discussions about schedule strength, about how their wins don't count as much, and instead of shrinking under that narrative, they lean into it. That mentality has echoed across the team, from veterans to rookies. It shows up in interviews, in how they approach practices, even in how the coaches talk about preparation. This team has embraced the idea that every slight becomes motivation, every dismissal becomes fuel. And when a group of athletes collectively taps into that kind of mindset, it becomes extremely dangerous for opponents who think they're walking into an easy matchup. There have been multiple games already where analysts predicted that New England would hit a wall, and each time the team responded with sharper execution, cleaner drives, and a stronger physical presence. Even in games where they didn't dominate from start to finish, the ability to make key adjustments mid-game has been a major reason for their success. If the running game stalls early, they find ways to shift formations, open lanes, or attack through the air. If defenses try to overload passing windows, the offensive staff leans back into misdirection, quick-hitting plays, and patience that forces opponents to defend for long stretches. It hasn't always been flashy, but it has been effective, and effective football is often what gets overlooked by people searching only for highlight reel moments. The defense, too, has had a major role in shaping the identity of this team. While the offense gets most of the attention because of the young quarterback and all the storylines surrounding the skill positions, the defense has been incredibly steady. They have had moments where they bend, where they give up long drives, but they rarely break at the worst times. Their ability to respond after mistakes has given the offense breathing room, especially during stretches where the unit was still figuring out rhythm and timing. Complementary football has been one of the biggest reasons the Patriots have climbed so high in league rankings. But beyond rankings and perceptions, there is another truth emerging. The Patriots are no longer sneaking up on anyone. Opponents have begun acknowledging the challenge they present. Coaches mention their physicality. Players talk about how disciplined the team is. Even analysts who were harsh earlier in the season have shifted their tone. That change is a sign of legitimacy, not luck. It means people who study the game for a living are being forced to confront what this team has become: organized, resilient, unpredictable, and far hungrier than anyone expected. The conversation around their upcoming schedule has also taken an interesting turn. What was once labeled as an easy stretch is now being viewed through a different lens. Opponents that look vulnerable early in the season are now playing better football. Other teams that were considered unstoppable have shown cracks. The league constantly evolves, and the Patriots have shown they can evolve with it rather than fall behind. That adaptability is why they've managed to win different types of games: defensive battles, offensive shootouts, grinded out fourth-quarter pushes, and everything in between. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around Foxborough, and the latest buzz is impossible to ignore. Chris Jones, the dominant force on the defensive line, has officially been announced as the newest addition to the New England Patriots. Sources close to the organization hint that the move could shake the foundations of the Patriots' defense, potentially giving them a weapon that rivals some of the league's most feared pass rushers. The mere thought of Jones lining up in that classic Patriots front seven has fans and analysts alike speculating about a seismic shift in the team's defensive identity. For weeks, insiders have been murmuring about New England's intent to bolster its defensive front, and the arrival of Jones seems to confirm that the Patriots aren't holding back. Known for his relentless pressure, jaw-dropping agility, and uncanny ability to disrupt both the run and the pass, Jones doesn't just fill a hole. He transforms the entire defensive mindset. Rumors suggest that practices have already been buzzing with energy, with coaches reportedly recalibrating schemes to maximize his skill set. Teammates have been tight-lipped, but the excitement is palpable. Even veterans on the roster are said to be adjusting their own roles to complement his presence. While nothing is official beyond the announcement, The rumor mill has been in overdrive with speculation about how Jones' arrival might ripple across the league. Could this signing signal a more aggressive, high-pressure approach from New England? Are opponents already adjusting their offensive strategies, fearing the disruptive force that Jones represents? The chatter extends far beyond the locker room, with fans taking to social media to imagine the nightmare scenarios for quarterbacks and offensive lines alike. Betting lines, fantasy projections, and analyst rankings are quietly being recalculated, all in response to the sheer potential of his impact. Even among rival teams, the talk is hard to ignore. Scouts and insiders are reportedly recalculating their game plans, wondering how to contain a player who has consistently rewritten the rules of engagement on the defensive line. In true Patriots fashion, secrecy and strategy dominate, and the team's front office seems determined to let the whispers build before unleashing their full defensive potential. For now, the city buzzes with anticipation, debates rage online, and every snap in practice carries the weight of possibility. Chris Jones isn't just a new face in Foxborough. He's the spark everyone suspected the Patriots needed, and the rumor mill guarantees that every opponent will be watching closely. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.